Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Movie Battleground. I'm your host, Matt Beer, and we got a great match coming up for you. Chris Diaz and Nico Regoli. We're going to introduce our competitors first. First, with a record of 0 wins and 1 loss, is Chris Diaz. Chris, how you doing today?
Hello. Welcome, everybody. This will be a fun one. Nico is a really good player. Just here to have fun. We got some really interesting questions this time. No bloodshed, just to have fun. And may the best person win. I've bet Nico a lot that there'll be a fun match. The two people knowing a bunch about movies, they're going against each other. May the best person win.
Absolutely. And we'll bring your competitor up right now with a record of 0 wins and 2 defeats. Our current choke slam champion, Nico Regoli. How you doing, Nico?
I'm doing well, or at least I was until you mentioned that 0-2 record, because I think something needs to be addressed here. I don't feel like that 0-2 record applies anymore because that was a different iteration of Movie Battleground, and I was a different iteration of the person you see before you today. I was still figuring out what my voice was as a debater at the time. I've since figured out what that voice is, and it's gotten me pretty far. As you can see, I hold a gold here in TMG Entertainment. I'm on the verge of breaking Isaac Horvat's record as the longest reigning champion in this channel's history. And, I want to get that. I want to get a win on my record here in Movie Battleground and prove that I have improved as a debater in all aspects, not just in my bread and butter, which is wrestling. I can debate movies too, and tonight's the night to prove it. I respect Chris as a competitor, but again, I feel like I have this newfound confidence since I've had Red Sonja for as long as I have, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm seeking the knockout.
All right, that would be something to happen for judges real quick, and then we'll do the rules. First, we're going to introduce Maddie G. How you doing, Maddie?
What's up, brother? Jam that jam and what have you. It's been a long time since I've judged, but I know both of these competitors really well. Obviously, Nico's the chokeslam champion, so he knows how to talk and run his mouth. Chris knows a lot about movies because over on our Movie Mania show, he seems to run away with it recently. So let's jam that jam. Let's get on with it.
Oh, yeah, let's jam it and think it's sounding like a robot. So we got Jonathan Peck. How you doing, Jonathan?
Very good, Matt. Very good. I recognize both of these guys. I love both of these guys a lot. We interacted in the past, and I'm excited with the two bring it into the table. And basically, I just can't wait to judge this match because this is going to be a very intriguing one, indeed.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, our current Movie Battleground champion, Joe Farley. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing very, very well. I know these two guys. They're two great competitors, but the standards are very high today. Standards are high, and I will give the points to neither of you if you don't impress me.
All right, so we're going to go over the rules real quick, and then we'll get right into the match. So, first, I'll read you guys a question. Each of you will have a 90-second opening, and then after that, you guys will debate for 5 minutes. So those 5 minutes are up. You're going to have 60 seconds to close, and then we'll go from there after that. And you guys also do have a 1-minute extension you can use at any point at all. If you guys use it on the first question in your opening, I would think that's absolutely hilarious. So for comedic sake, please do it, but, it's up to you. All right, guys, your first question comes in the category of the 2010s. And that question is, which Best Picture Oscar winner would you consider to be the best film of the decade? And since this is Chris's strength, we're going to go to Chris first. So, Chris, you got 90 seconds to lay it out there. Tell us what you picked, why you picked it, and all that good stuff. The timer will begin when you start talking.
So when you think of best picture winner, best film of the decade. You see a film that are intimate, that tell a story, that bring you into the world that you don't usually see before. Back in 2016, they were the winner, and it was Moonlight. Moonlight is a film by Barry Jenkins about Jerome Little, a black boy growing up, dealing with sexuality, dealing with identity, dealing with a abusive mother who is a drug addict, dealing with people that are coming out of his life that mean to him, dealing with his feeling for his best friend. But at the same time, it's so little piece of what that life was back then, them dealing with the caricature of themselves, the stereotype they live in, whether they had to change themselves to survive, and it's beautifully told. The moment where there's very little dialogue, but the look they get, especially the look from Little, whenever did the scene with his mom yelling him with no word effort, the look of wounded and hurt, the last image, the dialogue is sounds crisp and beautiful, and speaks so much to what made a great film of the decade. From the personal story to the fantastic performance from Mahershala Ali, from Javante Road, Ashton Saunders, and Alex Hibbert, who plays Little from all ages, from when he was little to when he was a teenager to when he was older, to Naomi Watts, who gave a phenomenal performance. Like, there's so much to this film that speaks, and I've heard to see my time because there's so much I want to talk about. Why Barry Jenkins movie is one of the best film of the decade, and have it speak to me on many levels.
That's time. As my thing goes off. Alrighty. Strong opening from Chris. Now we're going to go to Nico. Nico, you will have 90 seconds to tell us what you picked and why you picked it. The timer will begin when you start talking.
So Bong Joon-ho's Parasite made a lot of history at the most recent Oscars ceremony. It was nominated for Best Film Editing and Best Production Design, and it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best International Feature Film. It has the highest Oscar wins per nominations percentage of every Best Picture winner in the 2010s. It's the first South Korean film to receive Oscar recognition, and it's the first non-English speaking film to win Best Picture. We currently live in an era of extreme racial division and hostility towards people who are different from ourselves, and we live in a time period in which the Academy appears out of touch, repeatedly failing to understand the true ongoings of the world beyond the traditional Hollywood bubble. So for a South Korean film broadcasted in its native tongue and performed by an all-Asian cast to overcome all of America's societal hurdles and become as successful as it was is a gigantic and groundbreaking accomplishment in and of itself, and it wouldn't have been able to accomplish any of that if not for how great the film is in terms of its story, its direction, and the actors who gave the movie and its characters life. This film has more jaw-dropping twists and turns than the Rainbow Road track of a Mario Kart game, and every single one of those twists and turns had me on the edge of my seat through the entire film. Parasite made a significant amount of money at the box office, which I'll touch on later. Parasite is not only an amazing film and very worthy of its Best Picture award, but it's also without question the best film of the 2010s.
All right. Perfect timing. All right, guys. You guys both gave really good openings. Now you guys got 5 minutes to lay out there, fight with each other, but please don't kill each other. We don't need that here today. All right. And your time will begin when you start talking.
Okay, Matt, bring up that visual aid, and then Chris, I'll let you rebuttal, but I just want to go through this visual aid first. So what I've made here is I've made a graph that compares the user ratings, the critical ratings, various rankings, Oscar wins per nominations percentage, how many nominations each movie received in the 2010s for Best Picture, how many wins each got, overall awards, and their wins and nominations and the percentages of them. And I did a comparison of Parasite and Moonlight together, Parasite and Moonlight with all the other Best Picture winners of the 2010s, both including and excluding the Hurt Locker, because I wasn't sure where it fit in with the equation. And if you look at the graph, not only does Parasite beat Moonlight side by side in virtually every category, but it also beats the majority of the other Best Picture winners of the decade in every category. And the thing is, the scientific method says that, like, if you have enough data to back up an opinion, then the opinion can become fact. So if we're arguing what is the best film of the decade out of the Best Picture winners, and my movie has all these wins in its corner, then doesn't that support the fact that it is the best movie of the decade?
in some people's opinion, yes, but we talked about the film itself. We're not using statistics in this argument. Moonlight is an intimate movie about a black person in the time it is, dealing with their identity, dealing with his hardship, a drug addict mom, dealing with people in their life like Blue who supplied the drug for his mom, despite trying to help him. The fact that he is gay, that people would judge him. At the moment with like the very little dialogue and the look, the intimate, one of the best scenes in the movie when he go back to the school after he got punched by his bully, take up the chair and just slam it on the bully itself, and it kind of like he become the person that he does not want to be. There's this great moment where he put his fate into the water and come back out. He become that person, that character, that stereotype, a gangster. And we see it used again. The use of water is his own comfort. If anything can just make it so intimate, the performances by Naomi Harris, by Mahershala Ali, by the three kids that played Sharon and Little, are so intimate. And it, despite being only like 1 hour and 15-minute movies, you still feel connected to. Here's my problem with Parasite. And let me get my one concern.
All right, hurry up because the clock is rolling.
Yeah. Parasite, right? It is good. It's a fantastic movie. It is like most of the movie. It's the first half hour is like a yuck comedy with little social messages, and it takes that turn. But it's very divisive, and it kind of like change your opinion how you feel about the movie. But with Moonlight, it doesn't take a turn. It teaches intimacy, teaches understanding, and the rated cinematography by James Laurel.
All right, hold on. It's my turn now. It's my turn now. You say Parasite is divisive, but again, I showed you the numbers, and the numbers prove the exact opposite. They show that Hey, shut the fuck up and let me talk here. Because again, the numbers prove otherwise. Like, again, I'm in the 90s in a good portion of the ratings here. You're in the 70s. Your film, and it shows because here's the thing. Your film is divisive because Chiron is not happy in the movie one single time.
But like, that's even the point of the story.
But why would you want to rewatch that? Rewatchability helps a film greatly. Hey, I let you talk for a good 2 minutes. Let me have this time now. We're talking. Rewatchability helps a film greatly. My movie has drama, has some tragedy, but it's in a bit of a happy sandwich in between. So like it makes the tragedy worth it. Your movie is all tragedy, and the thing is, when a movie is all tragedy, who's gonna want to rewatch it? That's why the box office was lower for Moonlight than it was for Parasite, because of the fact that no one wanted to go rewatch it because it was so miserable. You have to be a masochist to want to watch Moonlight over and over again. And also, you said at the beginning of your argument that Moonlight won. Well, if you look at the Oscar ceremony, everyone thought La La Land won before that.
So let's not say La La Land into the conversation. Okay, but miserable. The ending of Moonlight is beautiful as hell. It's kind of like he finds his own way. He made up with his mom.
He's never happy. He's never happy. He gets closure, but he's not happy.
He finds happiness.
Time. All right. Well, that got heated.
Oh, God.
Oh, wait. I almost put on an hour. That would be bad. All right. That'd be quite bad. All righty. So we started out with Chris. We're going to go to Nico now for your closing. You got 1 minute. The clock will begin when you start talking.
So I mentioned that Parasite is extremely rewatchable, and what makes Parasite so rewatchable is the complexity and range of these characters and their journeys. Moments of happiness, like the simple family dinners that we see within the movie. Moments of fear, like when the rich family's old housekeeper shows up unannounced to check on her squatting husband, and later when she ends up dying because she hit her head. I absolutely love the sequence when the scam artist family is rehearsing the lines of how they're going to convince the rich wife to fire everybody that is currently employed by them. It's a really cool and unexpected moment in the movie, and it makes that moment and so many other moments in the film so great is the quality of acting and the amount of passion by the cast. There is tragedy within this movie, but you feel good at the end of it because they gave you a range of emotions along the way. They made you happy. They made you sad. Moonlight, it's just Chiron getting the shit kicked out of him physically, emotionally, and mentally for 2 hours straight for the entirety of his life. And you don't want to rewatch that unless you're a masochist. Even when he gets closure at the end, but not happiness. There's a difference.
Time. My alarm goes off again.
Oh,
Alrighty.
God.
Really good closing from Nico. Chris, you also got a minute to lay everything you got out there. Timer will begin when you start talking.
Matt, before I speak, can you restate what the question is? Because I use it for my closing.
The question is, which Best Picture Oscar winner would you consider to be the best film of the decade?
Okay, let's lay this straight out here. Nico brought up statistic. He barely talked about his film that much besides small moment. Moonlight is an intimate film, and you see a Best Picture winner that best of the decade. You see one that speaks to your level. Say that Tyrone didn't get happy, but he ended up with his best friend. He said, at the end, you're the first guy, the only guy ever kid that felt happy, and you see that, especially, he felt at peace himself. He made up with his mother. He also, anything can bring intimate level. He speak about the masculinity. The fact what black going on today, that, why they are there to help each other, to tear down damage. And the performance is the message that is speaking, and the intimate moment, like the moment with the water, and the way water is his coping method, to the scene on the beach with Tyrone and his friend, to moment with his mom where they finally reconciled together, saying, I am a messed up person, but I love you. It's like being on so much level, where Parasite suffer a lot for some issues and some moments that really take away what the social message Parasite is.
Time. Alrighty. Great first round, you guys. Alrighty. So I'm going to start off with the judge that's sitting right next to me. Maddie, who are you going to give your first point to and why?
This was really back and forth in my opinion, but there was something said early in the debate that wasn't really touched on, and it was something Nico said that if you have enough data, numbers can become, an opinion can become a fact, and he used those numbers to his advantage. So, Nico.
Alrighty. We're going to go to Joe next. Joe, who gets your point and why?
Look, I love stats and statistics, okay? I brought them up many times in my own arguments. And it wasn't until his closing that Nico brought up performances and moments from the movie. But despite all those statistics, Chris brought up so many moments from the movie. And when Nico mentioned how, he's never happy and all that, but Chris brought up the fact that the ending is beautiful and that at the end, he mentions a time where he was first happy. And I really like his arguments. So that is why you'll see the name Chris written on my thing. Chris gets the point for me. I thought he really counted those statistics really well, which is until the closing was mostly the only argument. Both counted each other well on their movies, but I think Chris talked about his movie more rather than what the movie achieved.
Okay. So it comes down to you, Jonathan. Who's going to get the first point and why?
Okay. Both of you guys put up great arguments to why your movies are great movies. And I think based on some of the notes I got, based on argument-wise, that some of the counters I got, the person who would get my point in my eyes is Nico, because he pointed out if you take the statistical graph out of it, he put maybe some more examples to why Parasite is considered the best film, because he brings a sort of like a more relevancy to right now and recurring right now, and basically put out some examples that why his film is sort of better, more like with Chris's. So I would give my point to Nico.
Alrighty. And Nico strikes first. Alrighty, guys. Here we go on to question number 2. And your question is in the category of comedy. And that is, which comedic actor has made a good transition into serious roles? So, since we started with Chris first, we're going to go to Nico. So, Nico, you got 90 seconds. Your time begins when you start talking.
For the entirety of his acting career all the way up to his passing, Robin Williams always wore his heart on his sleeve. In order to be successful in both comedy and drama, you need to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And for the sake of his art, Robin Williams was always willing to play the fool to make his audience laugh or to open himself up so you could see his pain. Again, all for the sake of his art. His willingness to be vulnerable for our amusement is why people hold special places in their hearts for all the characters he's played, be them comedic or dramatic, lighthearted and loving or dark and tormented, or heavily multi-layered and complex. Characters like Adrian Cronauer, Mrs. Doubtfire, the Genie, John Keating, Sean Maguire, Patch Adams, and even Cy Parrish and Walter Finch. He never saw any of those characters within the confines of a genre. He saw them all as characters with love to give, pain to cope with, and allowed audiences to see all of that within each role in their own unique way. And that willingness to wear his heart on his sleeve so that audiences would let him into their hearts is what enabled the guy from Mork and Mindy to be nominated for four acting Oscars. One of them he won for Sean Maguire in Good Will Hunting, and 3 Golden Globe nominations that were specifically for dramatic acting and or overall acting. That's why Robin Williams is the most successful comedic actor to transition into drama. That's my time.
All right, there we go. That was perfect timing for me. So now we're going to go to Chris. So Chris, who did you choose and why? Your time will begin when you start talking.
So back in the year 2005, around that decade, there was little-known actors named Zeke Rell, who mostly known for comedy at Brick and Anchorman for Michael Scott in The Office, and for his most funny little role. But then he started to take a dramatic turn in 2005 with Little Miss Sunshine, playing a suicidal brother. And then just stuff like Hope Spring, he does stuff like The Way Back, where he's not playing a funny character, he's a complete douchebag in the film. To finally getting an Oscar nomination for having transformative performance in Foxcatcher, another Luke Point, and that more haunting, disturbing portrayal of a wrestling coach that ended up killing the one he tried to coach brother just because of jealousy and such. To film like Beautiful Boy, where it's very underrated sequel movie that where he played a father dealing with a drug addict son to let flat flying, dealing with bringing his son home from war. Like, he showed the dramatic range that you don't usually see for dramatic action in today's society. And he continued to do dramatic work at dramatic work Beach iconic like Minion, like Despicable Me, like but Wonderstone. But he still managed to do balance each other very well. And I think in today's standard, especially for actor with sequel with mostly before the dramatic people know him, Michael Scott, that he just showed vulnerability, especially Beautiful Boy, flat flying.
And that is time. That's going to be time right there. All right, guys, great openings from both of you. Now you got 5 minutes to lay it all out there. So whenever one of you starts talking, your 5 minutes will begin.
So the question is asking which actor has had the best transition from funny to serious, from comedy to drama. And here's the thing, Steve Carell hasn't exactly transitioned into drama. He's just dabbled in it on the side while he's still continuing to be a comedy guy. His most dramatic role so far has been Foxcatcher. Meanwhile, every other role that I guess you could consider serious is a dramedy or Beautiful Boy flopped. And his other roles like Bobby Riggs and the guy he played in The Big Short, those were considered dramedies by IMDb. Those were considered comedies, and that's what he was nominated for the Golden Globe.
Because it's probably talking about like that he started, and most when you look at his filmography, from Little Miss Sunshine, he did a comedy in between. He does still dramatic stuff. Way back. He played a complete douche. He's not funny in the film at all. He just played a complete douche boyfriend that you don't usually see from him. He went film like Crazy Stupid Love. It is a comedy, but he's so tremendous more. He's dealing with a fairy man. He's trying to win his life back to stuff like Beautiful Boy, where he's dealing with a drug addict son, where he trying to say no. He's trying to help his son out, but he really at a certain point, He had to let his son deal with it on his own. Did a great scene where
But as a
his son
dramatic
begging
actor,
him on the phone, and
as a
and,
dramatic
like,
actor, he's only had one success, though. Meanwhile, with Robin Williams, he's had multiple
What's
successes. Dead Poet
what's it-
Society. He when he plays John Keating in Dead Poet Society, he's essentially setting the tone for the fictional teacher characters that everyone loves, like Miss Frizzle and Mr. Feeney. Like that's how good of a teacher John Keating was. Is that he challenged his students to go against the norm, to see things from a different
But I
perspective.
think,
He set a tone with that character.
but when I think
Go
of
on, I'm
Robin
giving you
Williams,
time.
yeah, I love Robin Williams. I think I'm more his funny role. I think of stuff like Mr. Doubtfire. I think of stuff like The Night at the Museum. I think of stuff like The Genie. And you say dramatic, like he does dramatic during the 90s, a little bit in the 2000s, but after a while he just does crap after crap comedy. RV, The Good Year, The License to Red, even some of the Night at the Museum film. Like he doesn't go back to drama anymore. Steve Carell's still doing drama. Yes, maybe not successful, but it still shows that he's really good dramatic actor. Like there's great scene in Beautiful Boy where the son begging him to get him money to help him, and he just say no. He's struggling to say yeah, but he chooses at the last minute to say no. Film like Last Flat Flying, very underrated Richard Linklater film. He's dealing with the son who died from war, dealing with war itself and the struggle. To even film like, and much and we don't like Welcome to Marvel, he does give a really good performance of someone dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. Even film like that in real life, yet iconic, but he still showed that he had dramatic stress. He's one of the sons that starts the trend. People forget about it, that he's just so dramedy. He's dealing with someone who dealt with suicide, who's dealing with this crazy family, and he showed the dramatic side. Like, one reason I love him, but that's why he does do the same voice. It's like yeah, Goodwill Hunting is good, but he does it translate to everything.
You're kind of repeating the same points, though. You've mentioned Beautiful Boy like 3 times, and I wouldn't be mentioning it because it flopped. It wasn't a success.
Because it flopped doesn't mean
The Big Short was considered a comedy under IMDb. Battle of the Sexes considered a comedy under IMDb. Beautiful Boy and Welcome to Marwen, they were considered flops as movies. Like he has not. The only success he's had that was truly dramatic was Foxcatcher. And what's Steve Carell doing right now? He's doing Space Force because his career as a dramatic actor did not go the way he thought it would.
He was nominated for
Foxcatcher. He was nominated
and
for Foxcatcher. That's the only true dramatic role he's done, though. That's the only true.
He was nominated for the Golden Globe for The Big Short. He was nominated for the Globe for
Big Short was listed as a comedy under the Golden Globes. It was listed as a comedy under the Golden Globes.
Just because it was a comedy doesn't mean that he doesn't have a dramatic moment. Especially
I gotta talk about Robin Williams. I gotta talk about Robin Williams here.
Robin Williams does do the same voice. Robin really good, but it's just like at the center time he just kind of portraying the same character, and the amount of dramatic and comedy perspective comedy out way more because he does film like Hook, he does film like By Sanity Man, he does film like RV, License to Red, like and it.
Yeah, but he also did Goodwill Hunting, which was one of his best performances today. I believe him as a therapist. In 1 hour photo, he is creepy as hell.
And that is your time. Alrighty. To start with Nico, we're going to go to Chris first. You got 1 minute. Throw everything out there that you can in that minute, unless you want to use your minute extension.
Let me not be an asshole. I love Robin Williams. I do. But when I think of Robin Williams, I think of like Mr. Doubtfire, I think of Genie for Aladdin, I think of Teddy Roosevelt for Night at the Museum movie. I think of other roles that made him comedian. Like, and yeah, his dramatic are good, but it kind of like he doesn't do a lot of dramatic side. I think Jarrell about the flop. He still brings the drama, even in comedy, especially Crazy Stupid Love, especially a Hope Spring. It's really underrated movie from Jarrell. And Danny Real Light, where he just showed the dramatic side, the vulnerable side to him that to be seen in anything. I mean, yeah, he kind of, like in the beginning, played a character to it, but from 2005 to now, he brings the dramatic side to everything he does, even with Boo and Minion, with the relationship between him and the girl. Like, shows the crowd more than Dutch comedian, more than Dr. Michael Scott that we know of. especially Joe Rock Beautiful Boy, Mark Involvement, the moment of vulnerability, as Rock Capture, calling
Next
to Beta
time.
Thriller.
That's your time. Alrighty. It's a great closing from Chris. Now we're going to go to Nico. You got 1 minute when the time, or your timer begin when you start talking.
All right, I used a lot of the past 5 minutes to talk down on Carell. Now I got to build up Robin Williams. I mentioned Dead Poets Society, his role as John Keating. In Good Will Hunting, it's a perfect film that takes you on a roller coaster of emotional range, and we don't get that range of emotion without Robin Williams being so effective as Sean Maguire and getting Matt Damon's Will Hunting to let his protective walls down. Like throughout the entire movie, character and actor are both allowing themselves to be so vulnerable that another character will allow themselves to do the same. And like, I believe Robin Williams as a therapist because he'll get you to open up. That's how good he is, because he's willing to open up. Like, I knew that it's your fault. It's not your fault scene was coming because Family Guy parodied it, but I still almost cried with Will and Sean as it was happening because of how good the scene was. And behind every great comedian is a lot of sadness, anger, and trauma that they're trying to process. Cy Parrish in 1 Hour Photo, you see all that trauma, you see all that pain coming out in that character's portrayal in that creepy
And that
movie.
is time. All right. Great round from both of you guys. Great closings. So we're going to start with Joe. Joe, who are you going to give your point to and why?
First, I just want to say I didn't take into account a lot of the bigging up of Robin Williams in the closing argument because it was brought up in the closing, and Chris never had a chance to counter it. That being said, this argument was really back and forth. They both countered each other's points well. Both brought up how after their dramatic performances, they went back into comedy. The thing that's separated it here is that I think they both talked up their comedic performances, and they both talked up their dramatic performances. But for me, Nico was the only one that really attacked the dramatic performances of Steve Carell by bringing up that there were more dramedies and that it was more of a dabbling in drama and that those movies weren't necessarily successes. So because Robin Williams' dramatic performances weren't really attacked and weren't really taken down, I have to give the point to Nico in this round.
Alrighty, so Nico's gonna get the first point in this round. Now we're gonna go to Jonathan. Who are you gonna give your point to and why?
This is a very hard one to choose because I actually love both of these actors to death, and I love the way both of the passion that both of you guys put out there. I thought it was great, beautiful. But that being said, this is maybe a hard one to do, but it came very close. I had to just some margins to give it to Chris because during his opening, he pointed out the way that instead in the year 2005, when the Office around there, Little Miss Sunshine came around, and he in the same time with 14-Year-Old Virgin, and he did point out during the argument the sort of versatility to some of the ways that Steve Carell made. And like I said, it's a very close argument to choose, but I had to give my point to Chris.
Alrighty, so it comes down to you, Matt. Who are you going to give your point to and why?
It's funny that this was brought up by another judge because I was kind of thinking the same thing. Because of the fact that Robin Williams wasn't really discussed during the 5-minute debate, Nico was paying more attention to Steve Carell than building up his. And when Chris would start arguing Steve, Nico would keep bringing up the fact that they weren't officially box office they were box office bombs, but itself the bomb doesn't mean that the acting was bad in it. And then at the end, he started discussing his character, which I think was too little, too late. So, Chris.
Alrighty, and with that, Chris and Nico are now tied.
Holy shit.
As we head into question number 3. Alrighty, guys. Your third question comes in the category of comic book movies. And your question is, What was the best moment from V for Vendetta? So we're going to start with Chris first. You got a minute and a half. Time begins when you start talking.
So back in 2006, there was this film called V for Vendetta, where a film about V for fighting for the people freedom, for control for the government, and the idea that we should overcome fear. There's this fantastic, almost like a lot of dialogue, but very quiet moment in the film where Evie was just released from prison, and she realized that V was the one that would torment her, the one that were getting her all the things, but he'll only do it to bring her for the fear that, that she told him to come first and to be like her mother and father and brother. And there's this phenomenal image moment where we bring her up to the roof to get fresh air, and she's standing in the rain and say, God is in the rain. And it's just breathtaking music by Dario Marciano. Her putting hand up in the air, screaming in joy, and the contrast between V when he with the fire from the burning of the plate where he was born from, to her finally accepting feeling joy, speaking to V who were hoping Evie be the one that be what he could not be consumed by vengeance, not be consumed by revenge, that to free the people and bring to that you to overcome fear, to overcome the government and come together. That fear cannot control your life. It will haunt Evie ever since. And it's a beautiful moment where very strong dialogue, very beautiful music, and one strong imagery, excellently directed by the director himself.
Okay.
And I can see my time.
Yep, that is your time. All right, we're going to go to Nico next. Nico, you got a minute and a half to give your answer and the reason why you chose it. Time will begin when you start talking.
So at the end of V for Vendetta, Evie fulfills V's 20-year plan by blowing up Parliament with a beautiful fireworks display as Beethoven's Fifth plays in the movie on every city loudspeaker within range. In response to this, every single protester who marched upon Parliament wearing V's mask takes their masks off to admire this grand spectacle display of victory. As they remove their masks, we see the faces of characters, both major and minor, alive and dead, that we, the audience, have been following throughout the movie, accompanied by Evie's narration to the detective of who V was and what he stood for. He was Edmond Dantes. He was Evie's parents. He was her. He was the detective. He was Dietrich. He was Natasha. He was Valerie. He was the glasses girl. He was the glasses girl's family. He was all of us. He is all of us. V is the embodiment of the idea that if you see something wrong, you need to stand up and fight for what's right. And this moment that I've picked, in which everyone past and present removes their masks to admire the sights and sounds of their fascist oppressors finally falling, that's the moment in which the idea that V and all of those characters who wore his mask stood for were finally victorious. Those who died did not die in vain. They went down swinging. Those who lived got to see the victory and change that their loved ones fought for and died for. The idea that the world can be a better place won, and that's why this moment is the best moment in V for Vendetta.
All righty. I'll get your 5 minutes set up real quick. And just so people know at home, I will be hopping in throughout this round if need be. That way each of you have enough time to give your points and to be able to counter and whatnot, and not to, talk too much and not allowing the opponent to not give their points and counterpoints and whatnot. So you guys will have 5 minutes. The timer will begin when one of you starts talking.
So you mentioned something in your open. You mentioned something in your opening that I want to address. You mentioned the beautiful music. Now, there's a difference between how the music in our scenes is portrayed. My music is actually taking place within the movie itself because V has a flair for the dramatic. He knows that the moment of Parliament blowing up will be enhanced by Beethoven's Fifth playing on the city loudspeakers. Hold on. Let me finish this point so you can understand what I'm trying to argue here. Your scene has the score put in by the composer itself. No one within the movie can actually hear the music. And if you think about it, it's sort of like the effect with Jaws as the shark is going up to the boat. Without the music, the scene just looks kind of silly. The dramatic tension is removed from it. And like, imagine if I were to go outside right now and look up at the sky as it's raining down upon me and say, God's in the rain. If there's no dramatic music playing, then you're just either going to laugh or you're going to call for a wellness check because you think there's something wrong with me.
Okay, but here's your problem with the climax. I love the climax. You picked not the best moment. The best moment in the climax is where him confronting Mr. Freeman and saying, you don't need Bullet to have ideas. That, I don't have your hand around my throat. That speaks to who V is. He is this vicious killer that wants to throw down the government. And he used it with a knife and a bulletproof vest. That's the best moment to climax. With mine, it's more intimate moment. It's being on the level of who V and Evie is. That V was born of hatred and hate. That he see Evie as the person he could not be. And that the great contrast image when she's standing out in the rain and hand in the air, they go back to on the night he was born at V, with the fire everywhere, all the hatred, all the vengeance he wanted against the people that control him, that torture him. And it speaks back to the letter that Evie read in prison saying, that fear cannot control who we are. God's in the rain, he look out for us. He everything. And you're saying the music, not Israel? He used beautifully. At a moment that you remember the imagery and then the dialogue between Evie and Bing when she accusing him, you did it to me, and it's like, no.
I'm not saying that the music in your scene isn't beautiful. I'm just saying that, like, if you remove the music, which you from your scene, which you can do because the music is taking place outside the movie, whereas my music is taking place inside of my scene because V put it there, then the scene itself just kind of loses its dramatic oomph. It loses what makes it special. Hold on. I still got a minute. I still have a minute. And also, you said that I did not pick the best moment of the climax of the movie. Listen, anyone who has ever cooked something on a slow cooker feels a gigantic sense of accomplishment when their brisket comes out with that smoke ring after 20 plus hours of nonstop tender love and care. Now, imagine if that brisket was England's freedom from tyranny and it took 20 years to cook. Everyone who wore that Guy Fawkes mask felt that same sense of accomplishment in that moment when they took it off and looked at Parliament exploding in the fireworks display. Yes, now you can talk.
Yeah. So I should name two better moments. That the scene where Evie and B first meet and he demonstrates the blowing up with the music is a more effective scene. It kind of shows who V is and it's fair dramatic. And the domino effect scene where he had the V in the domino effect and you're seeing the people revolt against the government because they killed that one little girl. And the detective talks about how it all culminating and they don't know who is worse. That speaks to who V is. I pick a moment that is more intimate and more softful. It's kind of like it shows what the V is trying to do. That it also shows who Evie is as a person. She was born of fear, like her brother and mother and father were killed because they stood against the government. V allowed to come out and cocoon, despite his ill intention, and be herself. She is the one that he wants to lead the people. It's a beautiful, loving moment, and then the rain moment. Even without music, it's still a powerful scene. But I think for the cinematography, all the contrast between V and Evie is beautiful. I mean, yeah, the dead and the living is good, but it's
30 seconds left.
We got 30 seconds, so let me take this time here. I want you to put yourself in Evie's position and try and experience both moments from her point of view. With God is in the Rain, she just found out that she had been locked up in a fake prison for who knows how long, being repeatedly tortured by someone she thought she could trust, and is in the middle of having a meltdown when she goes outside onto that balcony. The moment isn't exactly happy for Evie. Meanwhile, getting to witness her true love's life's work come to fruition and all of England finally be free from tyranny, that's a happy moment for Evie. And like your moment gives her PTSD.
Time. Alrighty. Great round from both of you. Get your timer set.
Good job, Nico. That was good.
We still got a minute left to go here.
All right.
Yeah. And we still got one more round after this.
So I believe we started with Chris in this round, so we're going to go to Nico first for his closing. Nico, you got a minute left to give everything in here right now, everything you got. This is the most important round, arguably, for both you guys. We'll see who gets a 2-1 lead. Your time begins when you start talking.
So Chris mentioned that he felt the explosion at the beginning of the movie was more impactful than my explosion at the end of the movie. He said that explosion at the beginning represents who V is as a character. Well, here's the thing. V is not only a character, he is an idea. And V, throughout the movie, talks about ideas being powerful, being unkillable, being able to live forever. The reason why so many people wore V's mask is because they fell in love with what he stood for. And when Parliament blows up and everyone removes their masks in celebration of tyranny finally falling, that's the moment in which everything V and his followers stood for was finally seen to its fruition. That's their moment of victory. That's the literal climax of the movie that the characters themselves and movie watchers alike have been waiting for. The moment when the hopes and dreams of the characters living and dead and the audience themselves are finally realized, and the realization of those hopes and dreams are enhanced by V's in-movie usage of fireworks and Beethoven's Fifth to enhance the moment of victory itself. I'm going to end here.
Alrighty. Perfect timing. Alrighty. So now we're going to go to Chris. Chris, you got a minute. Just lay it all out there. Timer will begin when you start talking.
When you see a best moment for V Vendetta, you see a more intimate moment. You see a moment that speaks on the level. Nico brought up that Evie was for changes at the elder. No, she is feeling the sense of freedom. She realized that she should not fear anymore. In the moment, especially for the letter that she read in the prison, that she doesn't have to live under this government. She become my brother, fight for the people she live in. And it helped bring to that moment that Nico been trying to bring up with the finale. I think Nico's finale is great. I just think the domino effect scene is a much better sequence, especially from V and people standing up, realize, the government is wrong. They go after the guy that shoots the little girl because of V's encouragement, because of the mask that, that we do not fear the government. And it's a great culmination, differences and stitching put together and bleeding it. It might be more intimate, even without the music. The image alone and the contrast between both of them is striking. And the dialogue is well written for a dialogue, especially for both sides.
And that is your time. All right, great round from both of you guys. I would not want to be in this position at all. So we're going to start off with Jonathan. Jonathan, who are you going to give your point to and why?
This is a hard argument to unravel to when I come out with an answer, and I think it's hard for me to pick because there were two great moments for that movie, and I think both of you put up a great job of explaining why your scenes are the pivotal parts of the film. But in the end of the day, I had to pick somebody to put up a good examples in that, and I had to give my point slightly to Nico, and he put up some good ways why his scene at the end of the film are really, really unique to the context of the movie, though. So I'll give my point to Nico.
Alrighty, so Nico strikes first here. Now we're going to go to Maddie. Matt, who are you going to give your point to and why?
Taking my personal opinion out of this and just the arguments alone, I'm going to go Nico. Just because he explained a little bit more in detail in what the scene meant to the world, using parentheses, overall, and the whole fact of this was V's vision come to life, and it's everything that he stood for in one scene. Yeah.
Alrighty, and with that, Nico will take a 2-1 lead. We're going to go to Joe anyway. Even though your point doesn't count for this round, who would you have given your point to and why?
It's funny, at the start of this match, I said if I felt like it, I wouldn't give the points to anyone. In this situation, I was very close to giving the points to both of them, to be honest. But it's not a clean sweep for Nico, I'm afraid. I did give my point to Chris. I thought he brought up more in terms of things like the contrasting cinematography, the moment that sets EV3 and leads to that finale that Nico was talking about. He spoke about other moments. He spoke about other moments that were better than Nico's. He mentioned it was more intimate and it speaks to the characters and shows the growth. I did like Nico's argument about the beauty of the music and taking the music out of it, and also how it's sort of a perfect ending and what this moment, not just that the characters are waiting for, that the audience are waiting for, but it was just going into sort of the structure of the moment and the craft of the moment from Chris is what won it from me. And although it didn't affect my judging, it's Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture, not Beethoven's Fifth.
All right, so here's where we stand. Nico's up 2-1. If Nico gets the point in this round, Nico will win. However, if Chris gets the point in this round, we will go to a speed round. Therefore, I will have to write a speed round question. So, question 4 is in the category of action and adventure. And your question is, outside of Taken 3's fence jump, what would you consider as the worst action movie sequences? So we're going to start with Nico in this round. So Nico, you got a minute and a half to give your choice and why.
I'm actually going to use my extension if that's okay.
Alrighty, that's totally fine. So now you have 2.5 minutes to give your answer and why. The time will begin when you start talking.
In order for an action movie or a sequence within an action movie to be good, you need to be able to understand what's going on. If an action movie has been so poorly shot and edited that you can't comprehend what's happening, then you're watching a terrible action sequence. And the action sequence that I picked was ranked number 1 in WatchMojo.com's top 10 movies with incomprehensible action scenes list. It's the final fight between Detective Cross and Picasso in 2012's Alex Cross. The very first strike thrown in my sequence has a combination of a slow motion edit, an absurd zoom in, and a shaky cam used on it. Picasso went to hit Cross with some kind of pipe, and because piss poor production and post-production, I honestly have no idea what that pipe even hit. Supposedly it hit Cross, but in the moment it also looked like that pipe hit the silhouette of a coat rack. In sports, slow-mo effects are used with the intention of making things easier for the audience to see. This edit somehow made that first strike even harder to see. It looks like someone put a foggy glass of water in front of the camera as they were applying the slow motion effect and then lost their grip on the camera as they recorded it. It just gets worse and worse throughout the sequence. The camera will not stop moving and zooming to the point that it's nearly impossible to make out a single strike being thrown, where those strikes landed, or who is even winning the fight. And then in the few moments where the camera actually does take a chill pill, it exposes even more of the movie's flaws. It's such a poorly put together sequence. Like if even at the end of the fight, when Cross kicks Picasso down into the hood of the car to his death, the camera can't help but unnecessarily move with his fall. The acting is so bad, the way Picasso looks at Cross right before he's about to inject him with a paralyzing drug, he has that same facial expression as someone taking a poop. And when Tyler Perry takes out a knife to stab Picasso in the chest, it takes him about 15 seconds for the knife to actually make contact. The one time this movie might have benefited from some sort of camera trick, and they chose not to use it. If I'm supposed to believe that Picasso is this superiorly trained hitman, why did he let his guard down that much to be the victim of the world's slowest singular stab? The way Picasso says, "I made you," to Cross right before Cross kicks him to his death is so poorly delivered. By the way, again, terrible camera work. I can't actually see the kick that Cross used to send Picasso falling to his death, but I could see him brace his neck for the fall before hitting the car.
Time. All righty. Strong opening from Nico. So now we're going to go to Chris. Chris, you'll have a minute and a half unless you want to use your minute extension here as well.
No, I did save it for the closing.
Nope. Okay. So you got a minute and a half. Your time will begin when you start talking.
Okay, when it comes to action scene, it doesn't always have to be a fight scene. It doesn't always have to be a one-on-one fight. It should be anything. Mine is literally the worst example of the action scene because it poorly edited. It probably had some of the worst shot, some of the worst dialogue. One-on-one. I didn't do this since I went orphanage. And considered one of the best comic characters and make it like the sagging your butt back and forth against Benjamin Bratt It is Catwoman. It is the basketball scene that have 120 cuts. It goes from this like the little what supposed to be chemistry, poorly directed, poorly acted, poorly dialogue that laughable to like Halle Berry pass the ball back and forth, like Eddie can go back and forth, then running against each other. Then the Catwoman scared to land the ball in the basket. Like, oh my god, it made me naughty sit watching it. And when you see a Catwoman, you don't want to see a basketball scene in a movie that is already bad to begin with. It's so bad that it's so laughable, and there's no chemistry, there's no good shot. They're just like so laughably bad. And it's directed by somebody who just does visual effects. I only have one directing credit before. Like, so there, I have more in my argument of why mine and
And that is your time. All right. 2 great action scenes, some would say are the greatest action scenes ever put onto film. So, you guys got 5 minutes. Your
So,
time
Nico,
will begin.
sorry.
Wait, sorry.
I know I was about to begin, but you should count it down.
Okay. So, you guys have 5 minutes. Your timer will begin when you start talking, or when one of you starts talking.
So, Nico, I don't want to point out. Yeah, your scene is bad, but you just clearly see what's going on. My thing is to terribly tell what's going on. There's so many different cuts. So it like to get the ball. They can go back and forth. They go back and forth. Then it goes to Benjamin Bratt spread. They go to her spread. Then it kid spread. And then you get one-on-one to the music. Scandalous. Like, oh my god. And it like made you nauseating sit, right? You want to throw up after watching 120 cuts. And I counted it. Like, it's just so bad. And it like you're already like at least there's no dialogue and no music and like just grunts and shaking cam where it works in the Jason Bourne movie. I've watched versions of shaking cam and other movies, for example. But I should say mine is like the pure example of why it take a character that we love with Catwoman.
Okay. Let me take this next minute here. Because you mentioned nauseating. This is literally what's happening in my sequence. Like if someone were to watch this debate right now and they saw my camera constantly being shaken and twisted and zoomed in and out of focus like it was rolling down a hill, they'd have no idea what was going on. And if they didn't turn off the video, they'd probably vomit from nausea. And that's how you feel. Wait, hey, I'll let you talk. Okay. Let me take care of this. And that's how you feel watching an unathletic Tyler Perry from the early 2010s fighting this weird skinhead looking dude as the camera constantly shakes, quick pans, and zooms in and out of focus sporadically. Now, getting to your scene, you said action scenes can be anything, but here's the thing. If we apply that means that me breathing could be considered an action scene. Me pouring a cup of coffee could be considered an action scene. My sequence is a legitimate action sequence. You picked a music video within a movie, and that's okay because here's the thing. It fits the tone of Catwoman. Like the actual sequence you picked fits the tone of Catwoman. It's campy. It's flirtatious. It fits right in. And you said it's laughably bad. Well, at least that means that you can experience some joy in it.
I let Chris talk.
Okay.
Fair enough.
This is what my scene is doing. Like, the cutting in and out. It's the same thing as your scene, but it's just like saying it campy. No, it's not. It's taking a Catwoman scene and neutering her like we do it to a cat. It's just like, and we are expected to believe that there's chemistry between the two. That's clearly not. Your scene had no dialogue, no music, just grunt and pain. Saying you're badly acted, but they expect Tyler Perry, but mine is like, you go in expecting Catwoman, you don't go in expecting a love thrust, like fighting against each other and children saying one-on-one, and Catwoman still batting back and laying on top of him. It's just so bad. It's directed by a music video director that even make it worse than your director. No, a visual effects director means. Like, he's only done, and yet you said a music video. That should never be in an action movie. An action movie should not make it feel like a music video. Saying Shaking Guy's worse, I should name you 1,000 times worse movie than yours. The recent Jason Bourne movie. Some of the Jason Bourne movies I love, but they're terrible. even the Dark Knight trilogy had tougher use of fighting technique than yours. Like, and I to go into more detail, but it comes down to what made you feel sick. I want rewatch my scene right now. I should physically throw up into my can, like at the 10 seconds, like cutting it the back and forth. And it just like it comes down to Harry Sean.
All right, let Nico talk.
Thank you. Okay, so at least the majority of everything happening in your basketball sequence is comprehensible. And again, I mentioned flirtatious and campy. That's the tone of the movie Catwoman. Like Alex Borstein wants to fuck every single person in the movie. Of course, it's flirtatious and campy. Let me finish here. Again, it fits the movie's overall tone, and the overall tone is flirtatious and campy. Alex Cross is just a boring ass movie. And like, there's nothing redeemable about it. This could have been Tyler Perry's breakout moment as an actor that not in a Medea movie, and he blew it once again. Halle Berry and Benjamin Bratt, they have been able to walk off Catwoman. Like Halle Berry wears it with a badge of honor. Benjamin Bratt, he did an Easter egg basketball game in Doctor Strange, so he's able to laugh at himself now. I'll let you talk for the last few seconds.
Okay, saying your brain that my mind is just incomprehensible how it's shot, how it edited, from the acting to...
And that's going to be time. All right, so Chris is going to use his minute extension here, so you have 2 minutes to lay it all out there. So tell us why you chose this fantastic scene. Your time will begin when you start talking.
So... Aliquoth is Aliquoth. We knew it was going to be bad, yet it's incomprehensible. But my thing is just prime example of what not to do in comic book movie. Just the in and out, editing after editing, is not what you do in a comic book movie. Not for a visual effect director. On a project known as Catwoman, there's no chemistry. The dialogue about, I didn't do it since I was in the orphanage. One-on-one. The back and forth, her packing the ball back and forth, the dribbling, with the camera going subtly regiment back and subtly turn to the children. It makes you feel physically sick with yearns to no music, to no dialogue, with hope, because it just wants you to funny things. You're seeing more funny than bad. It doesn't make me sick. It doesn't make me laugh at Tyler Perry trying to take on Jack from Lost. My scene is nauseating, especially you try to count how many edit cuts it is. Like, I felt sick rewatching it before coming on to this match. It's just like, it's Catwoman. You see Michelle Pfeiffer, you see Anne Hathaway. You don't want to think of Halle Berry passing the basketball rather than fighting crime with a love interest that is wooden as a block. Like, even from her, it's bad. And worse than what does Todd do when they shot by lightning line. It's just, oh, God. Saying it's camping fun, no. It is incomprehensible bad. I dare you. Watch it sober and watch my scene. I count how many cuts. Tell me you did not feel sick, nauseating. You're seeing a just empty fight with one epic death, and it, like, I should just let it go because I think worth shaking can scene for Jason Bourne.
Alrighty. And that looks like it's going to be time. So now we're going to go to Nico. So, there we go. Okay. So, Nico, you got a minute on the clock. The time will begin when you start talking.
So I just want to reiterate that my sequence is a legitimate action sequence. Diaz's sequence has the physical action of basketball taking place, but in relation to the question, playing basketball is an action in the same way pouring coffee or breathing or snoring is an action. Again, shaky cam. Like, all it is, zooms, rolling around. Like, it's legit nauseating. I think Chris is just emotionally scarred from Catwoman, and but it's not an action scene. It's a music video within a movie, and it fits the tone of what Catwoman is, which is campy and flirtatious. And Chris said, watch it sober and see how you feel about it. Well, I did watch Catwoman sober, and it became a guilty pleasure. Like, if you watch the basketball scene as you watch the movie all the way through, you develop a weird sense of respect for it because it carries this unearned confidence, and like you can't like it's laughably bad. It's not boring bad like Alex Cross is.
And that's going to be your time.
I
All
do
right.
want to state that I asked Brett if it was okay. He said my team was okay to be used for argument.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay to use in
Yeah.
closing. So we'll bring the judges back in. Alrighty. So we're going to start with Maddie. So, Matt, who are you going to give your point to and why?
First off, I have to show half of my board first because something was said in the end of the argument that I have to address. Not a part of it, but first, yikes. Nico, yikes. Catwoman is not a good movie whatsoever. It is not a guilty pleasure movie. But in that instance, you do get my point.
Alrighty. We're going to go to Joe next. So, Joe, does Nico get the win here? Or are we going to go to Jonathan to decide who gets the point in this?
So with this one, it sort of felt to me as if both really sort of argued about the craft of the scene really well. The shots, the editing, camera work. With Nico, it was also about the slow-mo and the acting and the nausea-inducing shots. With Chris, it was down to the fact there was no chemistry between the two characters, the laughable dialogue and things like that. So that was sort of 50-50. I think the one thing that really came down to it is it did seem to me like Chris was arguing why his was the worst scene, but Nico was arguing why his was the worst action sequence. And so for that reason, I am giving my final point here to Nico.
Thank Christ.
Alrighty.
No speed round. No speed round.
With that,
It is worth pointing out.
Nico's going to get the win.
It's coming in.
Oh.
Chris, Nico.
Oh,
Yeah.
There we go. All right,
It's
and
the
then
only time I've actually gone with the winner in a round, though. I've noticed that. So
True. There we go. But we're going to go to Jonathan really quick. I do want to hear who he was going to give the point to, even though it ultimately doesn't change the result.
My point would have been the same. My point would have got to Nico, so that's pretty much it.
All righty. So, and with that, Nico will get the win. He now moves on to 1 and 2, which will put him in the top 15, I'm pretty sure, in Movie Battleground rankings. Very important win right here for Nico. So we're going to go to our winner in second. Oh, wait, Matt's doing the finger.
Somebody said right there. Just want to point that out. Jonathan went the entire debate and didn't
Hey, there you go. Look at that. Yeah.
Sorry, love you,
All
buddy.
Hey, he got it. Congrats. All right, cool.
If
Yippee.
you've ever been in
All
a
right.
debate with him, you'll understand.
And then
Oh,
And
I've
then,
been on many a call with Jonathan Peck.
I'm going to assume that wasn't 0 and 4. I'm going to assume that was 4 and 0.
yeah,
So,
cameras. I keep forgetting the cameras flip.
No, it's all good. So we're going to go to our winner and second place finisher really quick, and then we'll go to our judges, hear their thoughts and all that good stuff. So let's go to Matt Beer as he talks to our winner today. All right, thank you, Matt, for introducing me here. So Nico, you get your first win in Movie Battleground. How does it feel?
It feels great. Chris gave me a harder thought than I thought I would get. I took him seriously in terms of my prep, but attitude-wise, there was a part of me that thought I was going to walk right through him, and that's just simply because of the confidence that Red Sonja has been giving me this past year. Not just like debate, but in trivia as well. I feel like I've been in this community for 3 years, and I feel like this has been my best year so far. My win-loss record is very win-heavy over defeats, and usually it was 50-50 or the losses kind of overtook the wins, depending on what year we're talking about. But no, I just feel like so confident and so good about how things are going for me competition-wise. And I'm very happy to get that first win to finally show that, like, yeah, those first 2 matches I had in the old iteration of Movie Battleground, that was a different me, and that was a different Movie Battleground. I've since found my voice. This voice got me this, and I'm hoping, because I know Joe is in the judges' room, like I'm hoping that voice can eventually get me to double championship status, and that championship I want just so happens to be his. And I'll say this first, because on the Facebook page we have the list, we have the names of every champion in every division of TMG Entertainment. My name has been on that list for several months. I have held this belt behind the scenes since September of last year, on camera since October of last year. We are coming up on the year anniversary since I won this title, but you can't really put that on the banner now, can you? You can't say that I'm the longest reigning champion of the active roster on that banner. You can't really say that I'm close to breaking Isaac Horvat's record of being the longest reigning TMG champion overall on that banner. People can only see who is the champion of each division, and they see Jacob West's name twice, and they see Joe's name twice. And like, if it'll get people talking about, yeah, I'm actually good at this, I'm not just the wrestling guy, I'm actually a pretty good debater overall, then I would like to reach double championship status and officially cement that I am one of the greats in this channel, in debate, and in this community.
Yeah, definitely. And
look, this was the first step. This was the first step.
Definitely. And look, it was a good win for you today. 3-1 is nothing to sleep on. So I do want to ask, though, who is somebody you would like to play next?
I don't have an opponent in mind, but I will say, if you can schedule it, let's do it in October.
Okay. That should work for sure. So
thank you.
Alrighty. So now we're going to talk to our second place finisher. We're going to go to Matt Beer. So Matt, take it away. Oh, thank you, Matt. You beautiful, beautiful man, you. So we're going to be talking to Chris here. So Chris, I know the feeling. It's not how you want it to go. You wanted to get the win here, but it unfortunately didn't go your way. But you did play a great match. But I do want to know your thoughts right now. How are you feeling?
I wish I had more time Parasite versus Moonlight thing. I think I'm not the biggest fan of statistically, but it's just like, I want to win. I really do want to get a win. I think Nico to lose 2 and get 1 win, that give me hope, because I feel like I gave it my all today, because the film I feel very passionate about compared to a lot of film, especially Moonlight. I appreciate it for it got better when I rewatched it for this match, and it's just like, I don't know, to bet me with somebody. I want to get in a winner. I don't care if it like in 1 week or anything. I would want to get a win in this first before going back to Nerd Fight, if anything. Like, because I feel like this is my strength. Like, Movie Battleground, very passionate about compared to a lot of other debate. Like, yeah.
And I mean, look, this is definitely not a game that should cause you to keep your head down. Look, besides one of the questions, it came down to the third person to give the point to. It was really close throughout the entire match. So it's nothing to keep your head down on. You played a great game. You're going to come back here. I'm sure you're going to get your first win in your next match for sure.
You have anybody in mind for me? Let me know. I really want to.
I'll let you know. But who would you like to play? Like, if there's anybody you can think of right now that you would like to go toe to toe with.
It's funny though. I think originally before Nico, a Marvin name was brought up. I wouldn't mind going against Marvin, because I think him and me had similar tastes and we should argue each other on good point. Huh. It's like, and anybody, I like Amaru. Like, anybody come in mind and want to challenge me? Yes. I mean, I think they did a good example. I'm good at my argument. It just came down to who got the strongest point.
Huh.
Because, all right, more note for this than it did in a lot of other debates.
Oh yeah, and look, we're gonna get you another match as soon as we can. Like I said, you didn't go down losing with no points. It wasn't a clean sweep. in any of these rounds. Like I said, most of them were all down to, it all came down to that third person. So you played a great game. Like I said, you're going to get your first win here soon. So,
But
yeah,
if I
don't
was
put your head down.
expecting, the one win I was expecting would have won with Sequel versus Robin Williams. I love both. It's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So now we're going to go to Matt Beer again, as he's going to talk to all the judges. So take it away, you sexy beast, you. All right, thank you, Matt, very, very much. And thank you for calling me sexy. I greatly appreciate it. So we're going to go to Maddie first. Maddie, what are your thoughts on this match all around and all that good stuff?
This was a hell of a match. They both put up really, really strong arguments. Like you said, Chris should not hang his hat. He got a point, and every time it was either 2-1 or so there's nothing to hold his hat on. Hold your head up. You got this. I do have something that I would like to say.
Okay.
I just have to
put
finish.
You on full screen real quick. Okay. You know what? Let me bring here. I'm gonna just have you two on screen now. Let's do that. All right, Chris. So what a turn of events. We got Maddie challenging you. I'm gonna let you guys talk for a sec.
You want to play?
Yeah.
Let's play. All right, you're my buddy. I have nothing but the respect for you. You fought a hell of a match. But I'd like to get a win too. And I may have a match, I've played pretty strong people. Maybe haven't won. But I think it'd be a good debate. I think it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'd go 3-0 to Maddie.
Ooh. I really take that on. I know you and me have very similar tastes, and we could argue pretty good stuff about them. So, Matt, Sebastian, you said both of them.
Alrighty. Yep, it's me now. And you know what? I think I can make it work. So at some point, don't know when, we're going to have Maddie and Chris going at it. And we'll see who can get their first win. So we're going to take you out, Chris. Bam.
And spelling, by the way, Nico, spelling only counts in class.
All right. So now we're going to go to Joe. Joe, how did you feel this match went overall?
It was a really close match. I've always said when it comes to debate, all you've got to do is turn one judge, because a lot of these rounds they were 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Apart from the last one, which was the clean sweep for Nico. So all Chris or Nico had to do in those rounds that they lost was convince one of us over the way we just went, and it completely changes the way this match goes. They were both incredible fighters. It really came down. It was very, very close. And I know that should one of these two, or anybody else in this division, whoever makes it to that title match, I'm going to have my work cut out for me.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go to Jonathan really quick, and then we'll close out. Jonathan, how did you feel the match went?
I really enjoyed this match, and Chris, keep your head up. Like, you will get your first win, and personally, you did a fantastic job in that match. And I'd same thing with Nico, because you finally got your first win, and I'm very intrigued that Nico's planning to do next with Movie Battleground, and I can't wait for these two guys having a future match in the future, and to see you two will do better afterwards. So I'm very intrigued at this matchup, by the way.
Definitely. So now we're going to bring on Nico and Chris again, and we'll do our closing goodbyes and all that stuff. So we're going to start out with Nico, our winner for today. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli, or just Nico Suave with 4 random meaningless numbers at the end on Discord. And you can find me competing in a variety of geek matches throughout all the leagues over the next couple weeks. And in September, I think I'll be defending my Chokeslam title at the next TMG free preview. I don't know who my opponent will be. That is something that the people of the Chokeslam have to figure out. But rest assured, when that day comes, I will be ready, and Red Sonja will remain with yours truly.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go to our second place finisher. Chris, where can the people find you?
To my me on Facebook. Today I did be a Highlander, and I don't know when Wednesday my match in multiplayer going to be live or not, but stay tuned for that. And I got a few matches coming up. I saw a single match coming up in TMJ pretty soon, but it'd be fun. And I did had to make my return in TV fight and game fight, so because I'm getting stronger and stronger in that realm as coronavirus go on.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go to Maddie. Maddie, where can the people find you?
Oh, good grief. You can find me on Facebook at Matt Crown. I have a Twitter. I don't use it. Don't follow me because I don't use it. Also, right here on TMG Entertainment, you can find me. I am the Game Zone Commissioner. You like to yell at people about games, let me know. We can get something set up. Also, Thursday nights, I host Suplex City Chats. That is a conversation on all things pro wrestling. Saturday nights, we host After Dark Takeover, which is basically, we have people come on, we shoot the shit. Yeah, there's that. And then Sunday nights, we have what we're debuting as Movie Mania. It is basically TMG's version of a game show. We will take 4 topics or 4 different games, and whoever's got the most points wins. If you want to get in any of that, hit me up.
All righty. Next, we're going to go to Joe. Joe, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Joed Farrelly, on Letterboxd at Joe Farrelly. You can find me across all the fan leagues competing, trying to win titles. Over here at TMG, trying to defend my debate belts in TV fights and movie fights while also challenging for their geek titles. I'll pretty much challenge for any geek title that's going. And when it comes to singles and teams, just trying to get better and better each time.
Absolutely. And then we're going to go to Jonathan. Jonathan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jetpet1098, and also find me on Facebook at Jonathan Peck. And currently, right now, we have 2 brand new sports brawl matches coming up on YouTube in a couple of days, depending on that this video is posted. One of these matches is a very recognizable face. Well, why in this top row? I just don't know. But anyway, one recognizable face, and also we got another returning player, which is a brand new player on the other match itself. So great fun right here, and that's it.
All right, and then you could find me on here, on After Dark, the movie trivia or the Movie Mania show that we do inside the Horseshoe, which will be premiering on the I don't know, it's the Friday of the 16th or whatever. I don't know. But it is premiering very, very soon. It probably has already premiered when this went up. And I am also the Movie Battleground Commissioner. So if you want a match, shoot me a message. If I don't respond in a few days, I apologize. It went to my requests, and I normally don't look at those. So for everybody here, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.